Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to my spoiler review for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So again, this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie, you might want to click away because I don't know what you're doing in here watching a spoiler review. But nevertheless, I don't really have a ton to talk about with this review because I mainly just like the movie. I mean, I don't really have like a lot of dislikes or concerns with the franchise going forward or how it's going to impact the MCU, but I do have a lot of things I liked about the movie. And just to kind of start off, just generalizing it, I thought it was the third best movie so far in this current phase of movies. I mean, we've had No Way Home and Shang-Chi that I felt like were both phenomenal movies, and then we ended up having Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, which I think nicely falls into that third spot for me. But outside of that, I mean, I think that they established a lot of really good things and they accomplished a lot of really good goals because, like I said in my instant reaction review, they were faced with an impossible situation, right? They lost their lead actor tragically. I mean, Chadwick Boseman died before this movie was even in full production, and it's just horrible. So they had to completely shift the focus and they had to decide whether they were going to recast Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa character or if they were just going to go ahead and go in the direction that they actually ended up going with in this movie and just have Shuri as the next Black Panther, as well as we introduce Ironheart for the first time, and then we introduce Namor as the villain. Okoye has a much bigger part, the Queen has a much bigger part. So instead, you know, we just like I said, they ended up going with the latter and they ended up having the whole cast as a main focus for this movie. And that's one of the best things that I thought worked for this movie is it wasn't dominated by one character, in my opinion. Yes, you can say that Shuri was the main focus because she was the next Black Panther. But in reality, when you kind of look at it, everybody had their moments, right? Like Okoye was hilarious throughout the movie, but she was still like this, you know, badass character throughout the whole movie. I really enjoyed that. And then Shuri was like really unsure, good play on words, of what she wanted to do. She didn't want to be Black Panther because she didn't want to fill that role that her brother had. And then she really isn't like fully bought into all the traditions of Wakanda and all these things. So it takes some things happening. We all know it happens. And this is one of my gripes with the movie is that the Queen is killed in the movie. I thought it was a bit much with everything we were already dealing with Chadwick Boseman. I'll get more with that in a minute. But it takes that for her to finally realize that she needs to step up and take the mantle of the Black Panther so that way she can defend Wakanda. And of course, Namor coming in there and just dominating Wakanda and showing his true strength also helped with that as well. But nevertheless, like I said, Okoye to me was probably the best part of this movie. I enjoyed her character so much. Danai Gurira is just a phenomenal actress. She was great in The Walking Dead, and she was also great in this, and she's great in everything she does. I've seen her in quite a few other things that I can't remember off the top of my head. We're gonna kind of shoot off the cuff here with things I liked with the movie. And like I said, I like the Ironheart character. I like the lady that plays Ironheart in this movie. I thought she was hilarious. I thought she's got good charisma. Is she the next Tony Stark? No, I don't think so, but I really do think that if we're gonna have a kind of pseudo Tony Stark like character in the MCU, she's got the charisma to do it. But again, it's just like Chadwick Boseman and Shuri taking over as the Black Panther. She's never going to fully be able to fill that role, but at least she can bring some sort of differences of character compared to Iron Man, in my opinion. And then Namor. I didn't talk about Namor a lot in my instant reaction, but I love this Namor character. I know that like a lot of people are saying that he wasn't like the comic books, and I didn't read the comic books, so I don't really know a lot about Namor's like background and kind of his overall demeanor and stuff like that. But the thing I like about a villain is when the villain is clearly like a good charismatic villain, right? He shows some personality, he's laughing, he's smiling, he's joking. But then that moment in the movie where the Queen is challenging him, he leans in and he's like, if you mess with me or if you mess with us or, you know, if you try to come get your daughter, in the case that he's talking about, I'm going to kill her. I'm going to kill the scientists and I'm going to come and kill everybody in Wakanda. Just that, like where he just switched from like this kind of like charismatic guy to like this just villain. That's what I like in a villain. And I thought that they nailed it with this villain in this movie. So Namor I thought was really good. And then also, like I said, Shuri, I did like her as the Black Panther, but the main thing I liked about her is that how she became the Black Panther. She drank the liquid just like Chadwick Boseman's character in the last movie, and then she ended up not seeing her ancestors like Boseman did. She saw Michael B. Jordan's character. How cool was that they got him to come back for this movie, and then he was just his monologue during this scene was amazing. It made me want him back so badly. And I'm not really the biggest fan of like multiverse, you know, messing with characters coming back from the dead and all this stuff. But I'm like, please, Marvel, find a way to bring back Michael B. Jordan's character into the MCU. Just do some multiverse voodoo and just get him back. We need him. He was just such a phenomenal villain in Black Panther, and I really loved him in this role, and I wanted him back so badly. And then that fueled her initial motivations. She wanted to get revenge. That was kind of how she was fueling her Black Panther desires, to go after Namor. She wanted revenge for her mom's death and for the attack on Wakanda, and just how Namor's been pushing her so much. So that was actually pretty cool. I enjoyed that. And then the movie is just beautifully shot. It's just like, that's one thing that they do really well with this Black Panther franchise, that they just know how to shoot the movie. It's just beautiful. I love the whole African vibes. It's just, I love everything about it. I think they do a great job with that. And then the story was better than I expected overall. Like I said, there was a big void with T'Challa not being in this movie, and I thought that they handled it with class. They just got it out of the way. They just said that, okay, this is how he died. I should have looked this up before I did this review, but I believe that he died to similar circumstances as he did in real life. And if I'm wrong, I apologize, but that's what I took it as when I watched the movie, that they basically had him pass away to similar circumstances as into real life. But like I said, after that, it was just an emotional roller coaster for me personally. I was just so saddened to see this, like him actually, you know, in like them honoring him throughout the movie. The opening logo for Marvel was all Chadwick Boseman. That was phenomenal. And then throughout the movie, they just talked about him and like honored him in various ways. And then of course we know what happens. We end up meeting his son in the post-credit scene. So they found so many tasteful and beautiful ways to honor Chadwick Boseman's character. And I think that was the real strength of this movie. And for a lot of people, that was the real thing that hurt them, is because they kept thinking about how they wanted the Black Panther T'Challa character in this movie, and we didn't get it because he's gone, and they chose to go a different direction. So like I said, I understand where people's concerns were and why people feel that way. But like I said, personally, I feel like with all the directions that they could have gone, they handled this the best. So let's go ahead and talk about the couple things I disliked about the movie. So the main thing I disliked about the movie is that it was a little bit long for me. It felt like the pacing was just a little bit off. They stretched out some stuff for a little bit too long. But again, I don't know how I would have done it any differently. There was things that maybe they could have cut if I really go back and like fine tune it and tweak it. But for the most part, I mean, I felt like it was a little bit too long. I felt myself kind of getting a little drowsy in the seat at times. But for the most part, they brought me back in with something to entertain me. And then I didn't like how they killed the Queen. I felt like it was a little bit too much that they killed the Queen. I mean, I'm not a big fan of fake deaths, but maybe they could have just faked her death or something like that, and then she came back and she was fine at the end of the movie or something, and then it seemed like she was dead. But with, you know, T'Challa being killed and now the Queen being killed, it just feels like it's overkill. Too much death, in my opinion. But I didn't really like that. It didn't sit well with me. It was like sad, but then at the same time I was like, I understand Shuri needed that motivation, but they could have still pulled that motivation just from the Wakanda attack. They didn't need to kill her off. It felt a little unnecessary. And then my one big concern, and it's my only concern from the movie, is T'Challa's son. I don't have a problem with T'Challa having a son. I thought it was actually a really good twist and actually going to set some things up in the future. But again, this is kind of like, I understand, like, we're always going to be thinking about Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa when we think about Black Panther, but I felt like that they did a good job kind of honoring him and bringing his memory, you know, to the movie. And then they put it to bed really beautifully at the end of the movie with Shuri having all these memories and fully letting go. And I feel like us as an audience were finally letting T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman's character go. And then now we have T'Challa's son, and inherently I understand he's a different character, but again, we're going to be thinking about, all right, when is he going to take over as Black Panther? I mean, yeah, sure, he's cool as Black Panther, but when is he going to do it? You know, and it's going to take away the focus from Shuri and the other cast, in my opinion, but we'll see how they handle it. Like I said, I'm just concerned about it. I did not like it. I'm just concerned about what their direction is for this character. He's still young, so we got a long time before he's ever going to do anything in the MCU. I understand that, but you know how Marvel is. They find a way to accelerate stuff sometimes. But anyways, that's really all I have. I love the movie. I give it a solid 4 out of 5. I think it was a movie. It wasn't an A+, but I thought it was an A movie. I thought they nailed it and knocked it out of the park. And I would love to hear your comments below. What did you think about Black Panther Wakanda Forever? Did you think it was a good movie? Did you have some more, did you mirror some of the concerns and the dislikes I had, the likes I had? Let me know down in the comments below. But all right, that's it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.